Hi, friends. Host Eric here, host of Talking with Famous People, and we'll see if I get anybody here. If I could get just maybe like one person who could help me sort of leave some comments on it, some people who might be interested in joining us, that would be very helpful. I've left a couple of comments now. I leave a few more. Obviously, people aren't going to know about this live stream unless, unless unless we comment someplace that people know that is happening, I guess. So I thought maybe if I saw a comment that had like a lot of commenters on it, I'd, put this here. FYI, streaming now here in the URL. So if you are here, whoever you are, and are willing to help me in this process of putting a few comments on a few replies to a few comments that indicate that I'm streaming right now here, it would be very helpful. I am limited in my ability to do anything as Talking with Famous People now. So I am Talking with Famous People archives for the moment. And I will tell the story of exactly what happened, but I'm going to try to spread the word a little bit more first. So I'm going to go into the group chat here. This is a good place to do it, actually. Might probably put it in the group as well. So hopefully a few people will end up showing up to see this stream while it's happening. I like to engage with people in the chat, and it's a challenge if nobody knows that you're streaming. So the thing that got put me, well, let me start at a different spot. I don't know whether this was just the algorithm randomly picking an old video and retroactively punishing me with the terms of service, the new terms of service, which require us to take proactive action to adjust accordingly any back videos. But hi, number 2 person. Thank you for being here as well. If either of you two people are willing to put a few comments on a few videos underneath names of people you think might want to see this live stream, that'd be helpful. The other person left, so I guess not. Let me pull a bong up and give it a minute for see if anybody chimes in on the chat indicating who they are. So I think it's well timed. And what has caused me to conclude is that probably it's time to start a new channel, take a different approach, retain Talking with Famous People, and hopefully it won't get killed completely. But the thing is, if you go through all my old videos looking for examples of hate speech, which is what I got a strike for, that the algorithm will recognize as such, it's not unlikely you're going to find some, because, in part because I'm a debate coach, so I talk about controversial topics. And in part because I joke about that kind of stuff. Like, I am not, anybody who watches the channel will know for sure and would agree that I am not somebody who engages in anything remotely like hate speech. In fact, I'm quite an ardent opponent of groupism in all of its forms. So obviously, if their goal is to eliminate groupist discourse, then their algorithm is doing them a disservice, not a service. At least with me. And that's kind of one of the problems with making hate speech, giving hate speech a separate category like that. Because it's not any more hate speech to talk about how stupid or whatever a given race is than it is to do the same thing about a given political party. But it's totally acceptable in that context. So the thing is, groupism, when we try to afford specific status to specific kinds of groupist discourse and say this is unacceptable, yada yada, we are guilty of the thing we're trying to avoid being guilty of. So we need to, as a society, understand that, like, social problems like racism, sexism, or just groupism in general will not go away by affording the wielders of that kind of discourse extra power. When you start censoring people because they engage in what you deem hate speech, then you're wandering off of a slippery slope, obviously, as evidenced by this instance. Because the video that I got tagged for hate speech is a video in which I'm talking about Germany during World War I and World War II and making fun of Hitler. I'm not anti-Semitic at all, but Hitler was. So if I'm going to play the role of Hitler in a comedic rendering of World War II history, then chances are I'm going to say some stuff that's anti-Semitic. Now, it's not my voice, it's Hitler's voice. Now, it's difficult to say, in my mind, whether YouTube ought to censor genuine hate speech, which is to say, speech that advocates the supremacy of some group inherently over some other group. Maybe it should. I don't know. That's not the point. The point is, it won't work. Those who wish to advocate racial politics will do so. They will do so in the status quo. And in fact, plenty of kinds of racial politics, that is to say, racial politics voiced by those groups, those people who self-identify as members of groups that people perceive as disadvantaged or something, engage in that sort of stuff. And where do you exactly draw the line? You know, it's because the groups that people are so concerned about, especially race, or like, I don't know if Judaism counts as a race or not, but same sort of thing. It's like some sort of arbitrary self-identification. it won't we won't stop having problems with that kind of stuff until it becomes absurd, until people laugh at it and recognize it for the absurdity that it is. But again, I'm obviously not a voice of hate speech. Anybody who watches my channel at all will tell you that I am the exact opposite of that. That I am about finding common ground, discourse, etc. That doesn't mean I don't entertain a lot of controversial topics. I typically have in the past, anyway. So my takeaway from this whole thing is that talking with famous people probably has too much baggage as a channel for me to settle back into it and feel comfortable ever again. You know, my subs completely stopped going up. I have had +1 sub in the last month, and I suspect that the reason for that has to do with some sort of suppression on YouTube's part, because I got a warning. Now I got a strike. Who knows how much suppression there's going to be, if in fact I'm right about that. It's always hard to tell what's going on, because all you have is your instincts and the stats, the data, but you know what exactly are you going to make of it? It could be that I've simply exhausted the pool of regular YouTube watchers that are seriously interested enough in what I'm saying to become subscribers. Could just be that simple. Could be I'm not making good videos lately, so I'm not attracting new subscribers. The thing is, the channel has always grown even at a slow sometimes, but a steady rate. Since the very start of the channel, it's always slowly at least grown, and it's completely stopped growing at this point. Now, I find that odd, but regardless, I have no way of knowing what's going on. So what I do know is I got a strike last night retroactively. So I got a strike on a video I had made. It was several years old. It was back in the GTM days, so several years old, 4 maybe 5 years old. I don't know. And so what am I to conclude about this? Do I conclude that the algorithm's been processing through everybody's old videos and they finally caught up to mine? Or do I conclude that some spite monkeys out there searching for content from the past and talking with famous people that they can tell on me about that might qualify as hate speech or something else? I don't know. It's not possible really for me to know that. So as a consequence, it's not really possible for me to ever really feel comfortable going forward with my eggs all in the talking with famous people basket. I'm not going to obviously delete the channel or anything, but I think I am going to shift my efforts towards a new project, YouTube-wise. And that project is called Rhetorical Slope. And it's going to be a purposeful channel that is that is designed to introduce debate concepts to adults watching YouTube in a way that renders them comprehensible and useful in engaging in internet debates and so forth, internet discourse, whatever you want to call it. If anybody who's in the 3 people here want to chime in who they are, I'd be happy to see if anybody got my comments and so forth. Let me see what else I can do here to generate a little bit more interest in the meowity meow. Where's a video with a lot of comments? That's what I need. I guess this one seems to have a fair number, probably a fair number of comments. Let's go up to
Hi, friends. Host Eric here. Let's talk about this.
Stream. Copy. Hmm. Well, shoot this one. There's some comments on this one. So UP gardening adventure. I'm new, been watching for a few weeks. You've been watching on Talking with Fence People? UP gardening adventure? Or even because this is the first time I've ever live streamed on this channel. I'd be curious how you found your way to it, you know? I have been regularly live streaming every day and everything on Talking with Fence People until I got that strike. Can Krishna Sarmapagu. How nice to see you. I'm glad you were able to find your way here. How did you find your way here? I'm curious to see if anybody got notifications or what, you know? Oh, you got the notice from Facebook. All right, cool. Cool. Yeah, so I'm in YouTube jail. Yeah, I put it there for this channel. I'm in YouTube jail for talking with Spanish people because I made fun of Hitler, and I guess I engaged in hate speech. I appealed the decision. We'll see what they end up saying. I appealed both of them last night. My original warning, which I had never appealed, because when I had the chance to appeal it, I thought, oh, it's going to drop off my record in a few months anyway, whatever. But they don't do that anymore. So then when you get a strike, you can't do anything for a week. I can comment, I think, with talking with people. I can't upload anything. I can't post anything. I was being in the voice of Hitler, you know, like I was telling the story of World War I and World War II. And then I was explaining how Hitler came along and he had a problem with the Jews, and I did his voice and I said, you know, whatever I said. I don't even want to say anything about it at all. Well, I mean, the algorithm doesn't distinguish whether or not, I guess, I am mocking the person who's saying that or saying it myself, right? It is ridiculous. It shows you the risks of trying to delegitimize speech because it's so contextually determinate that you're really going to have trouble with that. Unless you can link it to specific physicalities, in which case it's fine. But anyway, it's okay. It's okay because even if they don't accept my appeal. It's time to start a new channel or a couple of new channels potentially and be more focused and stuff. If that's because I mean, look, if I can get that retroactive strike for something I did a long time ago that was a joke, it's like I'm joking around about Hitler and World War II, and I'm not even, it's not joking in a hateful way at all. I'm not making Jewish jokes or something. You can just tell, but if you watch it, there's not any hate behind it at all. So, I'm sure you can find other things from my 5,000 videos that if that violates the terms of service, then I'm sure there's other ones. It wouldn't shock me if I've got, if it were the algorithm finding it by itself, finally getting around to it. Well, fuck. I mean, maybe if I could get 2 more strikes, another strike in a week, another third strike in another week, and I'm done, and then all my shit's gone and whatever. So it's like, I'm going to de-emphasize that channel. I'll probably start more generally live streaming from here instead, but I might continue live streaming from there. I don't know. If in fact my inklings are correct, and Rachel sort of indicated she had heard some shit on some other YouTube channel about this, that in fact YouTube's not promoting me as much because since I got this warning, then I don't want to, because the warning never goes away, then I don't want to continue to operate at a disadvantage forever, Additionally, I have a disadvantage with talking with Spanish people in that I'm just burdened by the fact that it is what it is. It's never going to be anything other than what it is. It's never going to be organized and orderly and sensible and meow. If I want anything like that in a channel, I'm going to have to start over. They don't anymore, Hambone. They used to. They don't ever go away. The strike remains on your record too. The warning never goes away. The strike never goes away. It's just the punishment for the strike will expire in a week. Now, granted, both the warning and the strike are now, as of last night, under appeal. I pushed appeal for each of them, and I said why I think they should, uphold my appeal. But I mean, yeah, I already lost all of the Raw Channel 1 data and that was like, I didn't have any strikes or anything. It was just like, this is unacceptable, you're gone. But that was copyright related shit. That wasn't this other stuff. And that was intentionally, it's like I suspect this is, it was willful harm doing by Chloe. So, anyway, it's I won't be safe on the channel until I start a new channel that it is started with the sort of TEFI goal in mind of doing a project I want to do, keeping it on topic, being NI, Rhetorical Slope is a good channel, what I want to do. I don't know if it's going to be as popular a topic or anything. Probably not. But I want to cover all of the concepts in debate one at a time, basically, in the right order. In a series of short videos, scheduled, release them, have a nice thing. Yeah, they should update that. They should, because it doesn't anymore. So, it's not necessarily a terrible thing that it happened the way it did here. I was feeling sick of myself, like sick of my tendency to wallow in just expressing and not be very purposeful in that. Sick of like stressing about why I'm not getting any subscribers, why the views are so bad and stuff. Sick of stressing about whether the live stream's interesting enough. Sick of the weight of all that SI history, all the baggage with the channel. It's like today even. What do I get? I get some messages from Chloe, who is the one who's responsible for the destruction of the TWFP Raw 1 channel. And she's bitching that I need to take down this video with her in it or that video with her in it. It's like, thank you, Jake Hurwitz, for attending. I appreciate it. So, it is what it is. I have this TWFP archive channel that is designed just to be an archive of random clips of video that never make it into anything else, right? But as a consequence, it's never had hardly any subscribers, and it's not ever gotten in any kind of trouble. So, but it might, right? Like, this channel is not a safe channel either. It has shit tons of baggage. If somebody were to go through all the footage on the archive channel looking for things that might get me in trouble, I'm sure they can find something. The advantage the archive channel has is most of the shit is titled just like random numbers and letters that the video auto assigned by the app that I made it in. So it's very difficult, and nothing's tagged, and there's just nothing in any video that to identify what's in the video except for watching it. So it's a little bit Spike Monkey resistant, but well, look, Matthew, I don't even blame YouTube. YouTube's doing the best it can with a complicated situation. They've got competing social mores in Europe and America regarding what ought to be prioritized. And then they've got the difficult to defeat argument about, the reality that anytime free expression runs afoul of, like pedo stuff, then free expression goes out the window because people are pretty panicky about that. I get it. It's awful, but I'm not sure it's the case that it ought to be impossible to talk about it. YouTube has got to retain legitimacy in the eyes of a fairly broad swath of people. I don't think YouTube, if you were to get to the people, I don't think so, because I'm not operating as that channel. I mean, the thing is, it's their system, right? If they don't want me to just be able to change accounts and be able to live stream, then they need to prevent that themselves. It's not like I'm doing anything sneaky. It's not like I went and created a new account under a fake name to do this. It's still under my same email address. If they want to prevent this from occurring, it's very straightforward for them to do so. They obviously don't consider this unacceptable, or they wouldn't make it that easy for me to shift accounts and push go live. I mean, it's like they say you can't live stream on Talking with Trans People, but they don't just tell me I better obey that or I'll get in trouble. They make it impossible for me to live stream. No, but you see what I'm saying? Now, I think circumvision would be they make it impossible for you to live stream, but you go somehow and I don't know how you could circumvent that, really. You're just not going to be able to access your capacity to live stream because they've shut it down. Like I said, I'm using the same email account, everything. I'm not pretending to be somebody I'm not. I didn't create any new accounts. It's TWFB archives. It's a featured channel on the other channel. The point is the burden's on them at that point to justify why I should consider this why they should consider this circumvention. Circumventing what? There's no barrier you're putting up in front of me. You gotta have a barrier to circumvent, right? Sit there quite a while, I guess. I gotta pee and smoke this cigarette. Can you guys chat amongst yourselves for a second? And I also want to show everybody a picture of my possible idea for a new logo for Rhetorical Slope. The tagline of which is probably simple truths are easier to defend, I think, maybe. Oh, urination, so sweet and good and fine and special. Oh, how I enjoy the streaming urine into the sink. It feels like relief from a bloated bladder, all filled with urine.
Yes, I know. Oh, your nation's good and true and just and fine and special. Yeah, I don't really think any human being has looked into anything yet. So when somebody said, "I don't think they've done any research on you," I agree. I don't think any human being has done any research or of any sort or is at all familiar with my channel. I think that it's just algorithm plus spite monkeys. The only people doing research are the spite monkeys researching ways in which they can get me in trouble. That's a high possibility. I don't understand why else would that video last night from years and years ago suddenly trigger a strike unless somebody reported it, you know? And there's no reason to report it. Nobody could be actually offended by that or think it's actually hate speech. It would have to be somebody attempting to take advantage of a weakness in the algorithm.
So anyway, it's a transition point for me in general. I'm sorry you're bored, Ken Krishna Sarmapagu. I am not entertaining that well. For butchering animals. Yeah, so it's unfortunate that perfectly innocent shit gets you busted. And I'm quite confident that YouTube doesn't want that to be the case. They don't want perfectly innocent shit to get people busted. Now, the C.S. Joseph video, it wouldn't surprise me if I don't win the appeal on that. Because while I made no threats, I used no hate speech, I used no racial or gender or slurs or anything. I did speak rather abusively about him. I think is appropriate given his malfeasance, but I don't have to curse. It's childish anyway. So, there's some changes I need to make in my own discourse. I shouldn't be susceptible to this because I shouldn't speak abusively about people in that fashion. There's no reason to. It reduces the effectiveness of my own point. So, ultimately, I'm going to have to just grow up a bit. However, what I can't do is go back through 5,000 videos and try to find and delete or make private everything that could possibly be interpreted as violating terms of service to prevent spite monkeys from exploiting it. I either can't or I won't do that. I don't know which it is. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to. So one of the reasons I want to do rhetorical slope is that I've spent so much time arguing on this channel. I'm talking with Famous People, not talking with Famous People Archives, but on TWFP. Not intentionally. I don't go out there seeking these arguments, but I get consistently people who come in like Pastel Charcoal did last night, right? And Pastel Charcoal wanted to be the intellectual finger wagger. This is an archetype that people want to fulfill when they come in around talking to French people. You don't really know about anything, and meh, 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 you know. And I'm really the gauge of all knowing. I'm coming in here to inform you why all of you people are wrong about everything you think, and meh, 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 and how dumb you are. And watch me embarrass Eric by pointing out some things he's never thought of before, like maybe cognitive functions or maybe meh or something. And it's just like, again with this shit. Everybody thinks it's my first rodeo. Like, I don't know what your name is, Pastel Charcoal. Well, that's your name. Okay, I do know your name. But I've encountered you behind 100 different faces. You're all the same guy. And each one of you thinks he's the first. Why do indeed people be hating? Excellent question, Jake Hurwitz. Why do people be hating? May I just mention why I think of it? Please do subscribe to TWFP Archives, because I will be live streaming from this channel for the duration of my jail visit. Maybe even thereafter, who knows? Might shift over to here just to get away from what may be a sinking ship. I don't feel like risking any more of my luggage by putting it onto that boat, really. Well, yeah, I know my hair is kind of awful. I don't think I look best when I'm completely bald, but I look best probably when it's very short. So, but you know, I'm not very concerned about my appearance because I've got a girlfriend, so I don't really care what I look like anymore. If she wants me to look a certain way, I'm happy to oblige her. I do actually, Kank and Christian Summer Pagoo plan to get a haircut before Hawaii. So, and that's just not a, what, how long is it till we go to Hawaii? It's so soon. I'm excited. It's going to be fun. I rented the car today. Oh yeah, I was looking for the calendar. Whew. A week from tomorrow, Rachel will get to. The day after that, we go to Hawaii. I feel this rush of adrenaline in my chest about it, actually. So I think one of the first things I'll do when I regain ability to do things on talking with famous people is post a couple of videos directing people to other places, because like I said, 3 strikes and you're out. I've got 1 strike, which it's really 4 strikes and you're out. A warning. I think it's warning and 3 strikes. Could be just warning and 2 strikes. Yeah, well, that Hitler, he's behind some of the greatest atrocities of all time. Like I drew this picture this morning while I was at breakfast with my dad. Oh, that's not it. Is it?
No, that's not it either. Aha! I know where it is. Right here.
It's called Stormy Weather. No, I haven't watched Danger 5, Hambone. I haven't. It's too sad of an occasion to have colors. It doesn't deserve colors. It just deserves black and white and sorrow. I just need the color of despair. It's the only color I need. Okay. Just one color. Different shades of it. Grayscale of despair. That's what I'm looking for here. It's a grayscale of despair. So yeah, I'm gonna start a new channel, Rhetorical Slope. I know already what the first bunch of videos I'm gonna make are. The first one I'm gonna make is affirming and negating. The second one is inherency. No. The first one I'm gonna make is affirming and negating. Then inherency. Then descriptive, prescriptive, and normative, and predictive. Was I type policed? Yeah, somebody type policed me. I think a couple people have type policed me, actually. I think Queen Tiger. I don't know if you're familiar with that guy. He's a character, I guess. Anyway, he type policed me, I think, and then some really, what was his name? Some really kooky guy. Jester's Court, I think his name is. He's talking about somebody who cannot stand me, who absolutely hates me. Boy. No, my channel was not deleted. I'm on timeout. I got one strike. I'd already gotten a warning for a C.S. Joseph blasting video, and now I got a strike for hate speech of all things, because I was making fun of Hitler in an old video. I'm hopeful, and I think I'm pretty confident that the Hitler one, they're going to agree, does not comprise hate speech, and they're going to uphold my appeal on that one. Yeah, hate speech. Now, would anybody who's watched this channel or talked to me or whatever would agree I'm not getting any fucking tattoos? What's Kohl? Kohl. Yeah, it really is an arbitrary term. But the point is, yes, don't shame the dictator. Exactly. I mean, nobody who watches the channel and who's not trying to actively lie about me could reasonably conclude that I am somebody who's one of those group hating people. I hate group hating. I try not to even group the group haters into a group. So I just hate them individually. I don't even hate them. I just hate the idea of group hating. It's dumb. How can I be engaged in hate speech? I'm transracial. I mean, I can't be engaged in hate speech, obviously. It's like we got Countess. She's from Singapore. We got Can Krishna Saramagu. She's from India. Do either of you feel like I hate you because of your race or gender or something? Or at all, for that matter? I don't. I'm not. I'm not a groupist at all. Yeah, I'm not totally not a groupist. So it's like what they really need to do then. I do love you. I can't do without you guys. It's like I needed to come on live stream and chat about all this stuff. I didn't feel I had a great conversation with Rachel and that was so gratifying, and I cannot wax poetic enough about how great it is to be in such a good relationship. My relationship is conflict free. It's fun. It's delightful. We chat, we enjoy each other's company. Almost all of our interactions are the ideal kind of couple interaction. Namely, if one person initiates an interaction in a couple, there's a lot of different ways a person can reply. It can go down from, like you go, hey, look at that bird over there. I might go in response, oh, that one over there? Oh, that is interesting. What do you know about it? That would be ideal kind of response, right? But I could also go like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Or I could go, oh, yeah, bird. It reminds me of the time I saw a bird. And shift to the conversation where you sort of take ownership of it like that. You could go, okay, enough about the birds, please. Or you could go, dear Lord, will you shut the fuck up about these birds? Or you could go, this is what I hate about you. This is what's wrong with you. You are always noticing birds. It's like a disorder. You should be ashamed of yourself. Like that sort of thing, They could get from good to terrible. Like how I shouldn't have to worry when I'm saying that stuff that YouTube's gonna get me. It's kind of crazy. I'm just talking about the range of possible ways in which people talk to each other. If you're somebody who does that a lot, as I do a lot, you're going to be scared by YouTube. He doesn't do anything. I mean, he's not doing anything interesting. That's why. You got to do something interesting to get dinged by YouTube. It's very easy, Countess. It's just 1, 2, 3 lines down each cheek like this, and then a circle over each brow. That's how you do it Western style. It was the audience who should get the credit. I don't know what to talk about. I was only testing it. Oh, I didn't know you live streamed today, Countess. I'd be interested in participating in your live stream as a chatter. I like the other end of it as well. I like being in the live chat too. I've done that on a few different live streams. I don't really have a go-to live stream that I chat in though at the moment. Maybe Countess can fill that gap in my life. Well, Countess, that's exactly what I do. At least 20% of the time, I say stupid things. If you consider all humor saying stupid things, then yeah, at least 20% of the time. Maybe as high as 50% of the time. I don't know. I say smart things too, occasionally. I say insightful things. I say wrong things. I say right things. I read people's chats out loud. Count as you're a good hostess. Engaging the audience is a skill. Yes, I do have many, many things to say. Some of them good, some of them bad, some of them fantastic, some of them poor, some of them yeah, some of them piao, some of them everything else in between. I still haven't smoked a cigarette yet, and my lungs are starting to organize a coup. I exercised earlier today. I went on my bicycle. I went on a bicycle ride. I tried to ride up some hills and kind of push it hard to get myself breathing a bit. The problem with bicycle riding is my legs always get tired before my lungs get tired, even with all the smoking and shit. Riding a bike, it's hard to get myself breathing hard. My legs are burning as I'm going up this hill. God, this is fucking painful. Pushing, but I'm not really breathing that hard. And what I really wanted to do is exercise in a way that got me breathing hard to really kick in the cardiovascular, as it's called. So I think next time, maybe tomorrow morning or something, I might go jogging, run around the block, see how that feels. Maybe even tonight after I live stream. I don't know. And then when I talked to Rachel later, I discovered that she too had worked out today. And, you know, it's cool when you line up like that with somebody. My friend Corey, INFJ, and I always used to line up like that with shit. Oh, really? Oh, I just started doing that too. How weird. We didn't talk about it ahead of time. You know, I think it's a good sign. UP gardening, up gardening. Countess's channel is not at Countess, it's at Obligated Introverts. They are obligated to stand in the corner and look neurotic. All introverts are obligated to do that. The extent to which they actually are neurotic, that's up to them, but they have to at least look neurotic. I tell you what I'm going to do while I go smoke a cigarette to keep you guys fully, amazingly, mind-blowingly entertained. Yeah, I was thinking about other stuff the whole time too. Here, you can be entertained by this beauty pants. Oh, my pee and my pee and my pee. You turned your head towards me. So now the viewing audience can't see your beauty anymore. But now they can see your beauty again. Yes, they can. And they can enjoy your beauty with their eyes. Yes, indeed, they can. No, I'm not lying this time. I would never lie to you about your beauty, PP. Never. I don't joke about PP's beauty. There's no more serious a topic to me than that. You truly are the kitty pageant winner. In the galaxy of stars, you shine the brightest and twinkle the most twinkles.
My kitty friend, you've got it. You've got that magical something. You've got the winning smile. You light up a room. Oh no, I'm not lying. Why would you accuse me of lying? You've got that winning attitude. You're a survivor. You're a champ. If you walk into a room filled with extremely talented people, you are the only one they'll refer to as the talent. You are the beauty that launched the Peloponnesian War. You are the genius who taught Einstein about time-space. Yes, it is you, PP. No, I'm not lying. Everything I say is true. 100 billion% true. Well, moo mini fatty cat fat fat fat. That's what you call your cat. That's quite a long name for your cat. Oh, the beauty. Oh, the astonishing beauty. Yes, I'm constantly being really astonished. Again, for the first time forever, without stopping. So, if you're like me, you're constantly being really astonished again for the first time forever without stopping, ceaselessly. And it can cause vertigo. So, you need to be careful with that. Just a general public service announcement, a neighborly warning, if you will, about constant re-astonishment. Try to limit your re-astonishment to 3 to 4 days a week, if possible. I'm currently in a heavy re-astonishment phase. I'm being constantly re-astonished by both my kitty's beauty and my girlfriend's beauty. If they're both in front of my eyes at the same time, it can cause me to have explosive diarrhea. It's one of the symptoms of being constantly re-astonished by beauty. So, it's like eating an entire box of high-grain cereal of a lot of fiber, breakfast fiber fungals. Breakfast fiber fungals is my favorite cereal. There's nothing fungal about it. It's just a poor choice of name. They really shouldn't have named that. But they did. What do you think about intuitives in sports? I know most are SJ and some SP, but there seem to be some Ns. Well, the ENTP I can think of in sports is Andrew Luck, former quarterback, retired now. And he retired because basically he couldn't sustain good SI while playing in the National Football League because he just kept getting injured and he fucking hated it. He couldn't stand it. Smart guy, funny guy, a quarterback, and an excellent talent, but didn't stay in the league for very long. I think you probably have intuitives are more common in pitching in baseball probably than in hitting. I think Oral Hershiser is probably an INTP, but it could be also an ENTP. I mean, yeah, okay, look, anybody that I'm saying is a public figure and I'm going like they're INTP or ENTP, if you want to go, no, they're ENTP or INTP, okay, I think they're NTP. I don't know him well enough, haven't talked to him, etc. You think Aaron Rodgers is an ENTP? Matt
Scherzer. I don't know who. I'm not familiar enough with him to even hazard a guess. Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is an STP. Okay, I might buy ISFJ. No, he's F. He's definitely F, Ethan. He's got FE coming out of his butthole. Which type is the best at playing chess? ISTP or INTJ, probably? I would guess INTJ is the best. It's a spatial thing. So, I made a video once of which games each type is best at. Yeah, Rogers, he seems not very ideational, ultimately. I was thinking about Kobe Bryant. What type was Kobe Bryant? I'm pretty sure Kobe Bryant was an ESTP, but he's quick as a whip intellectually, too. So that just shows you, though. I think I'm quite confident he was almost certainly an ESTP, but it shows you that ESTPs come in very different. He might have been an ISTP. That's possible, too. That's very possible, too. So, like an interesting question is, like Shaq. What type of Shaq? Probably an ESFJ, right? What do you think? I think Shaq's an ESFJ. And Kobe and Shaq had some problems when they played together for a while. And their problems do seem... You think Shaq's an ESFP? I don't think so. I don't think so. Like Allen Iverson is an ESFP. That's an ESFP or an ISFP, one of the two. Probably an ESFP. He always had his posse around him and dropping all this money at clubs and all that kind of shit. He's an ESFP. I think Shaq's an ESFJ. He's such a he really appeals to kids. He's it's like I find him in his interviews, I find him funny. He likes his NE a lot. He gave himself nicknames back in the day, the Big Aristotle, whatever. But he's not really that insightful or clever or anything. So I think he's ESFJ. You can't watch tennis or play it. It will annoy me greatly. My dad really likes tennis. He's watching it right now. In fact, my dad's an interesting fellow. He likes a lot of women's sports just as much as men's sports, or more. Like he likes women's tennis more than he likes men's tennis. And he's got his favorite players he's into, and he knows all the players and shit. We're watching the Australian. He's watching the Australian Open inside, and I watch parts of it with him sometimes. He was really rooting for this young kid, Goff, Guaff. She's 15, American. She made it. She got beat by another American, Henin. We watched part of that match. Russell Wilson, I think, is an ENFJ, or yeah, probably. The thing is, Russell Wilson, the reason I think he's an ENFJ is because I think Pete Carroll is an ENFJ, and Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll were born to be together. Russell Wilson started sounding like Pete Carroll as soon as he became his coach. And he started echoing Pete Carroll's sentiments, his attitude, everything. And Russell Wilson has become the second incarnation of Pete Carroll, but he's still playing. When Russell Wilson quits playing quarterback, he's going to be a fantastic coach in the NFL. What kind of drugs will be the favorites of different types? So pretty much everybody likes alcohol. So let's just sort of take that one off the table. Yeah, I mean, he's an interface type. It's that 8-slot TE. Just look how much SE I've done. Just step back and go, what? About all this SE. But it's SE that creates time objects mostly. It's not SE that makes spatial impacts. The impacts I make in the real world are impacts that are from my action on the metaphysical plane, mostly. So it's still a physical, it's still a follow through thing though. It's like it still takes SE for me to make the video, edit the video, the decision making might not require SE, that might require intuition, but the actual processes require SE. So what you see is, in some ways, some of the most successful uses of a function can come from the 8th slot, but it's got to be in circumstances where the 8th slot clearly, unavoidably, and quite effectively serves the dominant. So for Pete Carroll, he's got to be effective at solvency. He's a defensive coach. He's not even his own coordinator, I don't think, anymore. But he was never an offensive coach, and his offenses are always he has a very TE focus to the game. It's like being there at the end, you know. It's interesting. What's your least favorite type? I mean, my least favorite type of person is a person who's toxic. Okay, that's the thing. Like it. Let's imagine that both Cloud and Joel Nathan Henry are both ESFPs. Well, and let's say Chloe is also an ESFP, which she is. Forget Joel Nathan Henry. Let's talk about Chloe and Cloud. Cloud's a character, and sometimes a bit of a thorn in the side. Okay, well then Joel Nathan Henry. But I feel like I can engage with him as a human being, and yeah, I know that's why I was kind of going to exclude him, Countess. But I don't have another ESFP to reference. I mean, the thing is, in that playoff game at halftime, what did he say? What did Pete Carroll say? This isn't working. This isn't working. But we still got Russell Wilson. He's a person. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that, Countess. I mean, I tend to think LJ might be an ESFP as well, Lijo. She really doesn't like that. I think that. And I think I took down my video of her too that said, I typed please to her and said, you're not an ESFP. And I think she asked me to take it down. I took it down. ESFPs don't like being typed as ESFPs. They don't. Very few people self-identify as ESFP. I think I typed her as ESFP. I don't think she's an INTJ. But I mean, I haven't watched her shit in a long time. I'd probably give it another chance and see. Okay. Countess, I will type police you. I just gotta type you down there. I'm gonna throw you in the slammer. Yeah, well, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl, Hambone? You think it's going to be San Francisco or the Chiefs? I'm inclined to think the Chiefs are going to win. Okay, Countess, don't worry. Remember, it's not me who types police people. It's Sergeant Hoster. It's a different guy. He has a whole different attitude. Yeah, I'd say Chiefs too. it just looked so dominant. But their offenses looked so dominant that I don't care how much better the San Francisco defense is than the Chiefs defense. I don't think the San Francisco defense is good enough to contain them. They just, I mean, they that that game against I guess it was Houston where they were down 21-0, and then they came storming back, tied it up by the end of the first half, and just blew them out in the second half. I mean, everything went wrong for a quarter. Like every bad break that they could possibly get, they got. Everything that could possibly go Houston's way went Houston's way. And Houston was set up to win that game by the faiths, Okay, here you go, Houston. We've given you all the luck you knew you'd need to win this game. And it wasn't even a tenth of the luck they needed to win that game. So I just don't think that San Francisco can hang on defense. I think that Mahomes is going to tear him to pieces. Bye, KKSP. How good I did India. Say hi to some sacred cows for me. Don't worry, I'm not going to eat you. Say that to the cow when you see it in the street, okay? You're safe here in India, and pat it on the head. We treat you like a horse. We don't eat horses around here. I'm sure they're delicious, but we don't typically eat them. Has anybody had eaten a horse before? Does it taste like a mode of transportation? Because it feels like one. Okay, I'm going to pull a couple more bombers now. And I think I might pull everybody who's here an exciting tarot pull. Since we only got 6 people, I could do a 4-card pull for everybody. Full reading. Wouldn't take that long. Hambone's like, oh, please, Eric, please, for the love of God, will you not play tarot cards? Hambone, relax. Let the magic in your soul. I want you to just, here, let me tickle your chode. That'll loosen up your butt a little bit. And then I'll just slip in a little bit of magic into you. At first, it'll make your stomach feel upset, but eventually, you're going to be like, oh, that's good. That's good. That massages my prostate. And you'll be right. The way that KC bottle of Henry Titan's bag was impressive they can contain the San Francisco run game. Yeah, I mean, look, I think San Francisco's offense is effective too. But, it's like San Francisco's going to have to score practically every time. And so, because I think Kansas City's going to. It may be a slow start, because obviously the defenses at the very beginning of the game are at their freshest. And defenses get tired more than offenses do. So, tends to get more high scoring as games go along as the defense gets tired. All it takes is to be one step tireder and one step slower as a DB, and you've given up a touchdown. Well, Ethan McDonald, the 8th slot, it always serves the dominant. So what type are you? You're an ENTP? What that means is you got enough SE to write a book, but probably not enough to mail it out to agents and publishers and try to get it published. And the reason for that, unless you expect to get a lot of FE reward out of that. The reason for that is because that's a TE thing. That's a TE phase. It's like you've done the fun part. You've done the creative part. The SE, when you need it to do the TE shit for yourself, all of a sudden it's nowhere to be found. So it's only developed, I mean, in that sense, it's a good function. It only serves you when you want it to, really. But when you have other kinds of wants that are more long-term, like, well, I'd like it to be the case that I did this thing. Well, that's another story. I mean, the thing is, like, ESTJs and ENTJs have very good FE from their own perspective. From other people's perspectives, their FE is kind of dickish. It's like, do you have to make it quite so obvious that you're using me as a means to an end? That's how most people will respond to ESTJ, ENTJ, FE. It's a good corollary example because unlike SE, people will respond to it like that. You can kind of expect people to read it a certain way. People don't really read another person's SE very much because, I mean, they might, but then they'll just deem you either lazy or I don't know what's wrong with this guy. It's like every time I stop telling him what to do, he sits down. Well, he's SE polar. But and FE polar, FE eighth slot is a situation where it's always there being effective for an ENTJ or an ESTJ when it serves their TE implicit frame. Just like my SE is always there and good and doing its job when and only when it serves my NE frame. But the account is there's nothing to say ouch about even. It's like I know when I deal with my dad now and when I deal with any ENTJ or ESTJ, I get it. It's like there's nothing to be offended about. It's just you're an interfacer and you know when it's time to bust out the other interface form. You start off with your TE and you realize you're getting some resistance from people, so you shift to FE to move them along back to get your TE back moving again. I think it's interesting how, again, how the other functions play into it as well. Like, part of the reason why I have the SE I do is because I don't have such good SI. I can ideate for a little while in my head by myself without doing anything. But if I don't start typing it into a document, I'll get it all mushed together and get mixed up, and it just sort of, I can't keep that much information in my head. So your third slot SI, of course, is more powerful, and they spend more time attending to remembering shit. And as a consequence, there's less of a need for them to ever do the thing, actually, see it in front of them, realize it, concretize it, because they have faith in their ability to retain it as a part of their SI experiences, So, why is 8th slot SE more active than 7th slot SE? Well, it's partially because the extroverted intuition, action dominant, is an action type. So that other form of action is there to support the dominant form of action. But it's partially also because a weaker SI means a need to concretize more. And it's also partially because tool function, extroverted intuition, action means it's acting itself is fundamentally instrumental. And so the other kind of action can't be instrumental itself to another instrumental thing. You can't be instrumental to an instrumental. You have to be instrumental to an absolute. I mean, you can be sub-instrumental, but in that context, it's like because the tool function is such a default approach, and because it's not your dominant, it occupies all the room you have afforded for action, basically. So ultimately, I'm thinking about creating 2 new channels. One being Rhetorical Slope, which is all about argumentation. And I've got a lot of things I want to do on the channel. I want to make a series of shortish videos that cover specific concepts in debate one at a time and schedule them over the course of however many videos I make, however many days that is. And just do things very properly. You know, it's especially a topic like that I already understand so well, and I get what needs to be explained, and that's a channel that's got some potential. Now it's got a fairly low ceiling, I suspect, because the topic argumentation is not a particularly popular evergreen topic, as they say. But I think if I try to do a very good job of all the NIT things, laying out the channel, organizing the content sensibly, being always on the same topic, having good thumbnails, and a schedule and all that kind of shit, then it'll probably grow relatively quickly. Obviously, I'll promote it on Talking with Fence People for as long as I retain the channel. At the moment, I'm sort of mentally preparing myself for the possibility that I may wake up tomorrow and have lost the channel completely. It may be stricken for, may get 1 more strike, 2 more strikes. I don't know how many more strikes I need before they delete it, but it could happen before my appeal process even is over for the first 2. I don't know. I'm not sure how active, if in fact the spite monkey is behind it, namely if somebody's going around looking for things to flag, or, well, at the moment, I'm kind of hamstrung on that account. I can't really do anything. I can comment, I think. I might be able to download videos. I don't think so. If I looked at the thing correctly, I believe it said I can't download videos. I can't post in the community section. I can't upload videos. I can't live stream. I can't, I guess that's it. So, can I save my videos? Google Takeout if you're able. Okay. I'll try. I mean, the main thing I'm concerned about as far as that goes is I'm thinking about downloading one at a time all of my music videos and then uploading them one at a time to the TWFP music channel, and scheduling and publishing those too one a day for 100 days, however long it takes me to get all those songs up there. I'm mostly concerned about losing the music. I don't care so much about the other stuff, but I mean I do, but I don't really have any other. I don't have any other. If those videos, if my music videos are gone, I've lost that music because I don't really have any other copies of it, So, I mean, that's easy enough to save just by pushing a playlist and recording a big long video like that. But, then I can have to, it's better to do it the way I just said, where I download them all, and then upload them to the other channel. And also to Google Drive potentially would be a good idea. I'll check out this Google Takeout thing. Certainly worth checking out. It's scary to imagine, to realize you built your library on ground that's turned out to be a lot more shaky than you originally thought. I don't know, Countess. I don't have the TE inclinations or energy for that shit. Like figuring out all that stuff, and I mean, maybe I will at some point. I don't know. Like I felt pretty proud of myself today because I rented a car successfully for Hawaii. Um, you know, that's some high level TE for me there. It turned out to be quite easy. You can do the whole thing online. Yeah, it'd be great. I'd love to be a paid musician. I'd love to get money for my music, but I've got such a list, such a to do list, especially with this reality of with this strike and the YouTube jail and everything. My take on that is, yeah, I have a SoundCloud account. I just, like I said, I got such a list of things to do. What do I prioritize on? In terms of my TESE stuff, I've got a limited amount of energy towards that. Got a number of things I'd like to do with that energy, and yeah. Well, thank you, Countess. That's excellent advice. That's the best advice you could give me. Exactly. Typology stuff I've said it a million different times in a million different ways. All the talking videos. Whatever. I mean, there's some of them that I'd like to not lose because they're the only copy of a document that I've written, maybe, that I don't have any other copy of it. But I have a video in which I read the document and then somehow I had data loss. That's possible. I wouldn't want to lose those, but I wouldn't be able to find where. Yeah, there's no way Anakin's an any Dom. That's nuts. So, I'm going to upload this logo that I'm working on to Google Photos and see what you guys think. I think that's a little too dark, though. Yeah, them out a little bit. And export this and see what you guys think. And I'm going to go here to Google Photos. Goofo, as I call it. Upload. Computer. Upload from my computer right now. Share this. Share it with me. Share it, Eric. Share it. Share it hard. Okay, I'll share it hard. I will. I'm going to share it super hard. If you thought things had been shared hard before, you don't know what being shared hard means, because this is what it means to really, really share something hard. Watch out, here it comes. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Can an ENTP seem like an ESTP on the surface? I mean, it depends what qualities you are looking towards. Or if you're really an ENTP, you may still be athletic. You may still be, an alpha extrovert in some sense. I'll get to your question in a second, Jake. No, I'm starting a new channel, Rhetorical Slope, which is about debate stuff. So, I think about my daughter a lot. She has a lot of qualities that I would normally correlate with ENTP, but I still think she's an ESTP because thank you, Himbo. I appreciate the feedback. The content is serious. It's supposed to be it's like I don't intend to be unnecessarily dour in my presentation of it, but I could maybe spice up the colors a little bit. So I also think I want to change the wording of it to read: simple truths are easier to defend. Or it's easy to defend a simple truth which is what I actually originally had. Or simple truths are easy to defend. I'm not sure about the wording like that. What convinced me my daughter was an ESTP was Becky. Interacting with Becky, who's definitely an ENTP, and seeing some notable differences between the two of them. My daughter, she definitely has a talk is cheap quality about her. Like, once something's been, thank you, Hambone. Best defense is a good argument. That's a great tagline. That's probably a better tagline. The thing is, I was thinking, I'm glad you interrupted this thinking. This is why I'm throwing it out. I'm taking my time on this shit. I'm not going to try to rush out something, I was thinking I wanted the tagline to sort of define rhetorical slope. And the idea of a rhetorical slope, basically, as I understand it, is you've got two vectors, simplicity and truth or legitimacy. And, we could talk a lot about how to define truth or whatever. But the point is, those are the two slopes. So the most easy to defend thing is both simple and true, which means basically objectively falsifiable and not falsified by easily done objective checking. So if I tell you there are 4,520 Denny's restaurants in the United States, and I just made it up, well, you could Google that and check really easily and see if there are, in fact, 4,520 Denny's restaurants, or if I just made that up. And if you Google it, and in fact, that's the stat, then it's pretty difficult to dispute that because it's simple It's just a number of restaurants. And it's true, which means it is falsifiable by a way that we both accept as falsifiable. Like, okay, if we both agree without even having to talk about it, that if in fact I were to Google this and it comes up with a different number than 4250 or 4520, substantially different, then you're wrong about this. And it'd be difficult for me to continue to insist that 4,520 is the correct number of restaurants if you show me 6 websites that say no, that's wrong. If you show me the Denny's website and you show me Wikipedia and whatever else, and they all say the actual number is 2,710, then obviously I'm wrong. The reason I'm wrong, or the reason it'd be hard then to defend a claim to the contrary, is because the claim to the contrary fails on the grounds of falsehood, not on the grounds of complexity. So, some things are difficult to defend, even though they're true, because of their complexity. And some things are both false and complex, and their complexity typically will protect them from negation at that point, somewhat. Like evolution is an example of something that's complicated and false, and people turn to the complication every time you try to negate it. It's always another level of complication, more difficult to understand, and that's why you still think it's not, you've negated it, Eric, but you haven't, because so complicated that there are factors that are extremely complicated that you haven't factored in. Well, what are those? It's too complicated. So complicated. Entities should not be multiplied without necessity. The thing is, remember, the quality that we're talking about here is ultimately defensibility. It's not something else. So if you're selling a complicated truth, like this one that I'm talking about right now, then its defensibility is more challenging. And more complicated the truth is, the more challenging it is to defend claims based on that truth. If I tell you the world is flat, it's simple and false. I say it's flat because intuitively it's flat. We're obviously not on a big round ball, or we'd go slide around it, It doesn't seem like a round thing, so it's not. That's the simple part of it, right? Have you ever seen the curve of the Earth? I haven't. What reason do you have to believe that it's round? It's like bumpy like this. It's like all different shapes all around. You can see. There's no roundness to it. It's some parts are higher, some parts are lower. It's uneven across. Duh. Why do we think that the Earth is a sphere? We've got no reason in our field of vision to think that. Simple but false. The explanation for why the Earth is not flat is varying degrees of complicated depending on how you want to do it. If you're trying to give a definitive test, like in the example of the number of Denny's, you can come up with one, but it requires some deductive leaps by the person who's accepting or not accepting the test. So, for example, you can do it with a large lake and 2 boats and a pole. You can show that the Earth is curved. So, and some string or something, and if you were to get into explaining why this proof shows that the Earth is curved, and if the person could understand and follow along with what you're saying the whole time, they would be presumably as convinced by it as Googling the number of Denny's. The problem is, it's a different kind of fact. So the number of Denny's it's a status report fact. And there's only one source of the status regarding that that's considered, the preeminent source, and that's the Denny's Corporation. All other sources that are legitimate sources that people can turn to and say, yes, this source is at least attempting to tell me the truth or convey the true information to me. All those other sources are presumably secondary sources to Denny's Corporation, who knows best how many numbers of Denny's there are. Now, regarding the flatness or roundness of the Earth, it doesn't operate like that because we're talking about a status that everybody decides or doesn't decide to afford to the planet that we live on, whether it's a sphere or not. The other thing that makes it a different kind of thing is it doesn't make any difference what the answer is, which is kind of funny. I mean, it's not really different than the Denny's question. It doesn't make any difference what the answer is on the Denny's question either, until and unless you have some sort of teleology in place. And that's the thing about the roundness of the Earth, is it's not useful for anything really to have that status, unless you're an astrophysicist or something, in which case it's not any dispute. So I'm not going to be harmed at all if I operate under the assumption that the Earth is flat. It's never going to lead me into a contradiction between my expectations and reality, barring doing certain things. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to pull the car in. Probably just go to sleep at that point. Try to sleep another good night's sleep if I can. And wake up in the morning, hopefully purposeful about what I'm going to do with the day, what I'm going to get accomplished. Be a little goal-oriented. Set up a couple of milestones that I'd like to get met tomorrow in terms of progress on the new channel or whatever else I decided I need to really attend to tomorrow. I want to have tangible results. So it is a new beginning, absolutely. And I suspect that ultimately it's going to be a new beginning that produces a higher ceiling than the old channel, just because I do things properly. I do eventually plan to start a second new channel that is specifically about cognitive functions. I'm going to keep the two topics separate. Yeah, so that's my plan. I'm pretty excited about it overall in general. I feel like that, and I feel like it's a fresh start. I'm a little worried about losing all my old content. I don't want Talking with People to be abruptly deleted before I can save my music. But I don't think it will be, hopefully. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody made their way all the way over here and BF and nowhere of YouTube, part of YouTube, which is Talking with People archive. Thank you, everyone. I will check that out right now, actually. I appreciate it. Yeah, I did share the thing.